and welcome to Cheesy Dan Reviews. I'm Cheesy Dan. This is the perfect place for the picky eater to pick the preferred piece of pizza. If you're like me and you're a picky eater, you know there's not a lot of foods you're interested in eating, but some of the times there's one food that stands out amongst the rest as your absolute favorite. For me, that's cheese pizza. So stick with me as I review cheese pizza after cheese pizza to find out who has the best cheese for your dough. As you can see, I'm picking up a whole bunch of pizza, but hey, family's got to eat too. Welcome back to another installment of Cheesy Dan Reviews. Today, we're going to be reviewing the Little Caesars Extra Most Best Cheese Pizza, and we're going to be comparing it directly head-to-head against their classic or the Hot and Ready Cheese Pizza. When you look at the two on the website, they honestly look identical. So the question is the classic or the Hot and Ready, is it even worth the money? Or are you better off just getting a frozen cheese pizza that you can heat up yourself for the same price? Is the Extra Most Best exactly what they advertise it? Is it really the most best, and is it worth the extra dough you're going to shell out to get that pizza? Well, today we're going to do a head-to-head and we're going to find out. So first, we have here the classic. Now, if you've ever gone to a pizza party and, gone to a church or event or something, you've probably definitely seen these, because guess what? They're what you're going to see in most of those events because they're cheap and you can get them real quick. Then we have the Extra Most Best. Now, even when you take an initial look at it, honestly, it doesn't look terribly different. Now, both pizzas, their initial look, it's good. It's got some nice browning on the cheese, as you can see. Let me take one slice out of each, and we're probably going to have to separate them in a way that it makes it easy to remember which is which, because truth be told, they look so similar. Initial view, when you look at them, let's see if I can get you a better angle. This is the Extra Most Best. So overall, not a bad looking pizza, especially not for the money. It's just a little under $7. And this is the classic. Again, they overall don't really look that different. When I'm comparing them side by side, there's a little bit more cheese on the Extra Most Best, but the crust consistency, if you look at the thickness between the two, they're about the same. The crust dough looks the same. So right now I'm not seeing the difference between Extra Most Best and their Hot and Ready or their classic, but I guess the next step would be a taste test, but let's go ahead and let's give them their first rank right off the bat. So we have appearance. Now, especially for the money, when you're talking about a quick fast food style pizza that's under $7 for either one of these two, that's kind of hard to beat, especially in the world of today's costs. So, I would say for appearance on the, let's start with the classic. I would say the appearance on that one, we'll give that one a 7.5. It's not a bad looking pizza. The crust has kind of a buttery look to it. Not a bad look. Now the Extra Most Best, I would say we could give it a half a point bump just because there is more cheese on that pizza. So let's give that one an 8 for appearance. So next step, let's taste test it. So first we're going to start with the classic. It's not something that's going to knock your socks off, but honestly, it's really not that bad. I know you think of a classic or the Hot and Ready as just kind of cheap pizza that you get when you wish you could afford nicer pizza, but you got to get a bunch of pizza at once. But I'll be honest, while it's still hot, it's pretty good. The sauce isn't overpowering. The cheese is good. It's got a good ratio of bread to cheese to sauce. Not too bad. Now, let's try the Extra Most Best and let's see which one's different. I'm going to say off the rip, the only major difference I'm tasting is almost like it's just additional cheese. The cheeses both seem similar. There might be a small difference in the cheese, but honestly, it just feels like there's more of it. The bread, the crust, it's pretty buttery. It's got a nice taste to it. It doesn't leave a nasty aftertaste in your mouth. So, I'm going to say for taste, it is a very small difference. I would probably give the classic more something along of like a 6.5. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not bad pizza. So for the classic, we'll give it a 6.5. And then I would say again about a half point bump for the extra most best, because the extra cheese is appreciated and it does taste good. So as we sit, we're at a 7.5 for the appearance on the classic, an 8 for the extra most best, 6.5 for taste on the classic, 7 on the extra most best. And then when you get to value, as far as price goes, price is where it's kind of hard to beat. The extra most best is, it is a little bit of more money. The classic, for just a little over $6, when you're talking about a quick pizza that you can take home and your family can eat for not much money, I really don't know of a better value that you could find than that. So I'm going to have to say for the classic, it's definitely a 10 as far as price, because you just can't find much pizza to go for less than that. When it comes to the extra most best, I am going to have to take a little bit off again, because it is a little bit more money for essentially, which equates to nothing more than just some extra cheese. So for the extra most best, I'm going to give that one a 9 on the cheesy scale. So as we sit, they're very close. There's not a lot of separation between them. But the next step, of course, as always, is going to be to put these two pizzas in a freezer bag. I'm going to have to label them just so I remember which is which, because they do look so similar. Come back on day 3 and then do the day 3 test to see how these hold up.
3 days later.
Welcome back. It's day 3 of the comparison between the Little Caesars Extra Most Best against the Little Caesars Classic, or the Hot and Ready. As you can see, I went ahead and marked our paper towel for the Extra Most Best and the Classic because they are so similar. I don't want to get them confused. Now, after 3 days being inside the Ziplocs, let's see how they look. So first, we're going to pull out the Extra Most Best. Sticking just a little bit, but Extra Most Best came out pretty good. Bottom doesn't seem too soggy. Cheese seems to have kept pretty well. Now, let's pull out the Classic. Pretty much same story here. Looks just about as good as the day I put it in. So, now let's go ahead and let's heat them up and let's see how they taste. Well, it's finished. Let's see what they look like. Now, your oven may be a little bit different, or your microwave might be a little different. Mine has a pizza setting. Some of them they work good on, some of them they don't. If yours doesn't work good, one of the things I've found is that you can let it run for about 30 seconds, give it about 30 seconds of break time, and then run it for another 15 seconds and then 10 seconds of break time, and kind of split it up. That way you don't end up with an overheated pizza, and then you get where the cheese is overcooked at the bottom, but then the center of the pizza is not really fully cooked, and honestly it's not very good. But luckily on mine, the pizza setting works pretty good. If you look, turned out not too bad. They both heated up equally good. So we're gonna let them cool down, give it a taste test, and then we're gonna find out what their cheesy score is. Well, now that they've both had a chance to cool down, it's time to do the taste test. Of course, cooling down is pretty important if you don't like burning your mouth, and don't act like you haven't done it before, because I know I have. Unfortunately, it makes it a little hard to enjoy the taste when you can't taste anything because you ate a pizza that's too hot. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a shot here. I would say let's start with the Classic first. So again, it's had a chance to cool off a little bit. As per normal, the texture gets a little bit spongy on the bottom of the bread after it's been in that freezer bag in the fridge for about 3 days now. But let's give it a taste. Honestly, not too bad. Hasn't really lost much of its taste there. Like I said, bread gets a little bit stale, but the sauce hasn't really lost its taste, which is good. Cheese still tasted pretty good. So as far as reheated pizza goes, I would say it still does pretty well. Nothing to get too excited about. I would say on the classic, I would give that one probably a day 3 score of about 6.5. Nothing that you'd throw away, but nothing you're too excited to eat. Now let's try the extra most best. Now with that one, of course, the bread being so similar and the sauce being similar, it's no surprise those are going to be about the same. The little bit of extra cheese does actually help. It helps offset the fact that some of the other pizzas lost a little bit of its taste. So whereas I gave that one a 6.5, I would say I'd give the extra most best a 7. Definitely not a bad pizza, something you could enjoy on the 3rd day without much trouble. So after adding up all the scores that we've come up with so far, that puts the extra most best slightly ahead of the classic. It came in with a 7.8 of a cheesy score, and the classic came in with a 7.6. So if you look and compare the two for the price, for the additional cost, I don't know I could recommend the extra most best over the classic for the additional cost. I would say you'd be doing just fine just to get the classic instead. But of course, that's up to you. If you've had some of these pizzas before, if you've tried them, you tell me. Write it down in the comments. Which one do you think is better? Which one do you think is worth the money? Or do you think both of them are just worth, leaving them alone altogether? But until we eat again, stay cheesy.